When you try to get health, you are sick. When you try to get wealth, you are poor. When you try to get love, you are lonely. The very trying keeps you in the state opposite to what you desire. It is like a man drowning who struggles so violently that he prevents his own rescue. The harder he fights against the water, the more surely he sinks. But when he relaxes, when he stops fighting, when he allows himself to float, he discovers that the water that seemed his enemy becomes his support. I want you to understand something fundamental about the nature of reality. Everything that you could ever want already exists. Not in some far-off heaven, not in some distant future, but right here, right now, in this very moment. The infinite intelligence that creates and sustains this universe has already provided everything. Every desire that ever been born in the human heart has its corresponding fulfillment in the invisible realm of infinite possibility. But here is a mystery that has confounded humanity for centuries. These things exist in a dimension that can only be entered through feeling, through assumption, through the bold act of occupying the state of having rather than wanting. You cannot think your way into this dimension. You cannot work your way into it. You cannot struggle your way into it. You can only feel your way into it. Tonight I want to take you on a journey into the very heart of creation itself. I want to show you how the universe actually works, not as the material scientists would have you believe, with their theories of random chance and mechanical causation, but as it truly is, a universe of infinite imagination where consciousness is the only reality and everything else is merely its projection. Consider for a moment the nature of your own experience. Right now, as you sit here listening to these words, everything you are aware of exists within your consciousness. The sounds you hear, the sights you see, the thoughts you think, the feelings you feel, all of it is taking place within the theater of your own awareness. You never actually experience anything outside of your consciousness. You only experience your consciousness of things. This is not mere philosophy, my friends. This is the practical foundation upon which all manifestation rests. If consciousness is all that you ever experience, then consciousness must be the substance from which all experience is made. And if consciousness is the substance of experience, then by changing consciousness, you change experience. By changing the state of your consciousness, you change the world. Now, when I say stop trying to get it, I mean stop living in the consciousness of not having it. Stop affirming through your feelings that it is absent from your life. Stop approaching your desires from the outside as if they were foreign to you, as if they belonged to someone else, as if they required permission from some external authority. Your desires are not foreign to you. They are not accidents or coincidences. They are the voice of your own deeper self calling you home to your true nature. Every desire is a prophecy of its own fulfillment. Every longing is a promise from the infinite that what you seek is seeking you. But the promise can only be fulfilled when you stop trying to grab it from the outside and instead learn to occupy it from within. Let me illustrate this with a story that will make clear the principle I am sharing with you. There was once a man who desperately wanted to be wealthy. Day and night he thought about money. He visualized having money. He affirmed that money was coming to him. He tried every technique he had ever heard of to attract wealth into his life. But the harder he tried, the more elusive wealth became. His very effort was pushing it away from him. One day, exhausted by his efforts and discouraged by his continued poverty, he decided to give up. He said to himself, I am tired of wanting. I am tired of trying. I am tired of being poor in my own mind. And in that moment of surrender, in that moment of ceasing to try, something extraordinary happened. He felt different. Not hopeful that wealth was coming, he felt wealthy. Not believing that he would have money, he felt like he had money. And from that moment of inner transformation, his outer world began to rearrange itself. Opportunities appeared that he had never noticed before. People offered him possibilities that had always been there, but which he had been too busy trying to see. Money began to flow to him through channels he had never imagined. And he realized that wealth had always been his, waiting for him to stop trying to set it and simply be it. This is the great secret, my friends. You don't get things. You become them. You don't attract conditions. You embody them. You don't manifest from emptiness. You manifest from fullness. And the fullness is already yours. It has always been yours. It is your birthright, your natural inheritance as a child of the infinite. But how do you stop trying? How do you cease the effort that seems so natural, so necessary, so obviously required? The answer lies in understanding what trying really is and what it does to your consciousness. Trying is always future tense. When you try to get something, you are affirming that you will have it someday, but not now. You are pushing your good into an imaginary tomorrow that never comes. Because when tomorrow arrives, it is always today. And if you are still trying, you are still pushing your good into the next tomorrow. Trying is also effortful. It involves strain, struggle, force. It comes from the belief that you must overcome resistance, that you must fight against opposing forces, that you must earn your good through hard work and dedication. But I tell you tonight that the universe requires no such payment. Your good comes not through effort, but through acceptance, not through struggle, but through surrender, not through trying, but through being. The moment you stop trying to get it, you create space for it to be. The moment you cease your efforts to attract it, you discover that it was never absent. The moment you quit pushing for it to happen, you realize that it has already happened in the one place where all happening truly occurs, in consciousness itself. Now I want to address those of you who are thinking, but Neville, if I don't try, if I don't work toward my goals, if I don't make an effort, how will anything ever change? How will I ever get what I want? This question reveals a fundamental misunderstanding about the nature of action and the source of all effective action. There are two kinds of action in this world. There is action that comes from trying, and there is action that comes from being. Action that comes from trying is forced, effortful, strain. It originates in the belief that you lack something and must go out and get it. This kind of action often produces the opposite of what you want because it is rooted in the consciousness of not having. But action that comes from being is natural, effortless, inspired. It flows from the consciousness of already having, of already being what you want to be. When you embody the state of your fulfilled desire, when you live in the feeling of having what you want, right action happens automatically. You don't have to figure out what to do. You don't have to force doors to open. You simply move as your fulfilled self would move, and the world rearranges itself to match your inner state. This is why I say stop trying to get it. Not because I want you to become passive or inactive, but because I want your action to flow from the right source. I want your doing to emerge from your being rather than from your lacking. I want your efforts to be the natural expression of your fulfillment rather than the desperate attempts of your emptiness. Let me share with you the technique that makes this possible, the method that allows you to transition from trying to being, from wanting to having, from seeking to finding. It is elegantly simple, which is why so many people overlook it in favor of more complicated approaches. Before you sleep each night, instead of trying to get what you want, assume that you already have it. Don't visualize yourself getting it. Don't imagine it coming to you in the future. Don't see yourself working toward it or struggling for it. Simply assume the feeling of having it now, in this moment, as a present reality. If you want health, don't try to get healthy. Feel healthy. If you want love, don't try to find love. Feel loved. If you want success, don't try to become successful. Feel successful. The feeling is the secret. And the feeling must be present tense. It must be now. It must be real in your experience, regardless of what your senses may be reporting. This is not pretending. This is not wishful thinking. This is not self-deception. This is the conscious use of the creative power that is your birthright as a human being. You are not pretending to have what you want. You are actually having it in the only place where having truly occurs, in consciousness. And consciousness, being the only reality, makes it real. The physical world that you see with your eyes is nothing more than consciousness made visible. It is the outpicturing of inner states, the externalization of internal conditions, the manifestation of mental emotional patterns. When you change the pattern within, the picture without must change to correspond. This is not a belief. This is not a hope. This is a law as reliable as the law of gravity. But here is where most people stumble. They try this approach for a few days or a few weeks, and when they don't see immediate external changes, they conclude that it doesn't work. They go back to trying, back to efforting, back to the old consciousness of lack and limitation. They don't understand that there is often a time interval between the inner change and its outer expression, just as there is a time interval between planting a seed and harvesting the crop. You must persist in the new state. You must continue to live in the feeling of having what you want, regardless of current circumstances, regardless of what others may say, regardless of how long it seems to be taking. Your persistence in the assumption creates the externalization. Your faithfulness to the inner reality births the outer manifestation. I have seen people transform their entire lives using this principle. I have watched the sick become well, the poor become prosperous, the lonely find love, the despairing discover joy. But in every case, the transformation began the moment they stopped trying to get what they wanted and started being what they wanted to be. There was a woman who came to me years ago, desperate to marry a particular man who seemed completely uninterested in her. She had tried everything she could think of to get his attention, to win his affection, to make him see her as a potential partner. The harder she tried, the further he seemed to move away from her. She was exhausted by her efforts and heartbroken by the lack of success. I told her what I'm telling you tonight: stop trying to get him, and you'll have him. Instead of trying to make him love you, assume that he already does. Instead of working to win his heart, live in the feeling that his heart is already yours. Instead of hoping for a future with him, dwell in the reality of being his beloved right now. At first she protested. She said, "But Neville, that's not true. He doesn't love me. We're not together. How can I feel like his beloved when the facts clearly show otherwise?" And I replied, "My dear, the facts are nothing more than the outpicturing of yesterday's assumptions. If you want different facts, you must make different assumptions. The assumption persistently maintained becomes the fact." She agreed to try this approach, though I could see she had doubts. But something wonderful happened. The moment she stopped trying to get his love and started living in the assumption of being loved by him, she began to change. She became more confident, more radiant, more attractive. She stopped the desperate behaviors that had been pushing him away. She started moving through the world as a woman who was deeply loved, and that inner state began to be reflected in her outer experience. Within 3 months, he had noticed a change in her and was drawn to her new energy. Within 6 months, he was pursuing her with the same intensity she had once pursued him. Within a year, they were married. But the marriage was not the result of her trying to get him. It was the natural expression of her assumption that she was already his beloved. This principle applies to every area of life because it is the fundamental principle of creation itself. You are always living in some assumption about yourself and your world. You are always occupying some state of consciousness. The question is not whether you will assume and embody a state. You are already doing that every moment of every day. The question is which state you will choose to occupy. Most people occupy states by default. They react to circumstances rather than creating them. They let their external environment determine their internal state rather than letting their internal state determine their external environment. They try to feel good when things go well instead of making things go well by feeling good first. But you can choose your state. You can select the consciousness you wish to occupy. You can decide which version of yourself you want to be. And when you make that choice and persist in it, the world has no option but to reflect it back to you. I want you to understand that this is not about positive thinking or optimistic attitudes. This is about occupying the consciousness of your desire fulfilled. There is a vast difference between thinking positively about what you want and actually feeling yourself to be in possession of it. Positive thinking often maintains the separation between you and your desire by keeping it in the category of something you hope for. But the assumption I'm teaching you tonight collapses that separation entirely when you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You are not hoping for it. wishing for it, or even believing it will come. You are experiencing it as a present reality in consciousness, and consciousness is the only reality there is. Everything else is merely its shadow, its reflection, its outer expression. This is why the Bible tells us to pray believing that we have already received what we ask for. Not that we will receive it, but that we have received it. The receiving happens first in consciousness, and then it appears in what we call the physical world. But consciousness is the real world. Everything else is just its projection. Now let me address those of you who are concerned about letting go of effort entirely. You may be thinking, if I stop trying, won't I become lazy? Won't I stop taking action? Won't I just sit around waiting for things to happen? These concerns reveal a misunderstanding about what it means to stop trying. When I tell you to stop trying to get what you want, I am not telling you to become passive or inactive. I am telling you to stop acting from the consciousness of lack and start acting from the consciousness of fulfillment. I am telling you to stop efforting from emptiness and start expressing from fullness. When you truly embody the state of having what you want, action becomes natural and inspired. You don't have to force yourself to do things. You don't have to push yourself to move forward. You simply find yourself naturally doing the things that someone in your desired state would do. The action flows from being rather than from trying. A person who truly feels wealthy doesn't have to try to make money. They naturally think and act in ways that create wealth. A person who truly feels healthy doesn't have to try to get well. They naturally make choices that support their health. A person who truly feels love doesn't have to try to find love. They naturally attract love by being lovable. This is the great paradox. When you stop trying to get it, you naturally do the things that bring it to you. When you cease the effort to attract it, you become attractive to it. When you quit pushing for it to happen, you align yourself with its natural flow into your experience. But remember, this alignment happens first within consciousness. The outer actions are secondary. They are the effect, not the cause. The cause is always the state of consciousness you choose to occupy, the assumption you choose to maintain, the feeling you choose to live in. Let me tell you about a man who understood this principle profoundly. He wanted to be a successful author, but he had been trying for years to get published with no success. He would write furiously, submit manuscripts everywhere, network tirelessly, and study the market obsessively. But the harder he tried, the more rejections he received. He was becoming bitter and discouraged. Then he heard about this principle of stopping the effort to get what you want. At first it seemed counterintuitive to him. How could he become a successful author without trying to become one? But he was desperate enough to experiment with a different approach. Instead of trying to become a successful author, he began to assume that he already was one. Instead of hoping for publication, he lived in the feeling of being published. Instead of working to achieve success, he embodied the consciousness of success already achieved. Something remarkable happened. As he lived in this assumption day after day, his writing began to change. It became more confident, more authentic, more powerful. He stopped writing what he thought publishers wanted and started writing what flowed naturally from his consciousness of being a successful author. He stopped submitting desperately to every possible outlet and started choosing opportunities that aligned with his inner state of success. Within 6 months, he had received his first acceptance. Within 2 years, he had published his first bestseller. But more importantly, he had become what he wanted to be in consciousness first, and the external success was simply the natural expression of that inner reality. This is how creation works, my friends. First the inner, then the outer. First the consciousness, then the condition. First the assumption, then the fact. You don't work your way into the consciousness of success. You assume the consciousness of success and then let it work its way into your experience. Now I want to address the role of desire itself in this process. Many of you have been taught that desire is somehow wrong or sinful, that wanting things is unspiritual, that you should be content with whatever you have. This teaching has created tremendous confusion and has kept countless people trapped in lives of limitation and lack. Your desires are not your enemies. They are your friends. They are the voice of your deeper self calling you to expand, to grow, to become more than you currently are. Every desire is a gift from the infinite, a promise of what is possible for you, a preview of your own potential coming into manifestation. But here is the key. Desire is meant to inform you about what you want, not to keep you in a state of wanting. Desire is meant to show you the direction of your expansion, not to become a permanent residence of longing and lack. Desire is meant to inspire your assumption, not to become a chronic condition of frustration. When you truly understand this principle, you begin to see desire differently. Instead of being tortured by your wants, you become grateful for them because they show you what you are meant to become. Instead of being frustrated by your longings, you use them as launching pads for new assumptions about yourself. The moment you desire something, you have been given the capacity to have it. The very fact that you can conceive of it means it exists in the realm of possibility for you. Your job is not to figure out how to get it, or when it will come, or whether you deserve it. Your job is simply to assume the feeling of having it, and to persist in that assumption until it hardens into fact. This brings us to one of the most important aspects of this teaching, the question of time. Many people apply this principle for a short while and then abandon when they don't see immediate results. They don't understand that there is often what appears to be a time lag between the inner assumption and its outer manifestation. But I tell you that there is no real time lag. The manifestation happens instantly in consciousness, which is the only place where anything ever really happens. What we call the time lag is simply the period required for consciousness to reorganize the seemingly external world to match the inner pattern. Think of it this way. When you plant a seed in the ground, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You trust that the natural processes are at work, even though you can't see them. You water it, you give it sunlight, and you wait patiently for the visible growth to appear. The same principle applies to the seeds of assumption you plant in consciousness. Your assumptions are seeds planted in the fertile soil of infinite creativity. Your persistence in maintaining the assumption is the watering and feeding of that seed. Your faith in the process, regardless of current appearances, is the sunlight that allows it to grow. And just as surely as a planted seed will eventually break through the soil and become a visible plant, your assumption will eventually break through the current circumstances and become a visible fact. But you must persist. You must continue to water the seed with your assumption. You must continue to feed it with your feeling. You must continue to give it the sunlight of your faith. If you stop, if you dig up the seed by returning to the old consciousness of lack, you abort the process and must begin again. This is why I emphasize the importance of the state you assume before sleep. Sleep is the most creative time, when your conscious mind with all its doubts and arguments is quiet, when your subconscious mind is most receptive to impression, when the assumptions you maintain have the deepest impact on your consciousness. Make it your practice every single night without exception to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled as you drift off to sleep. Don't analyze it, don't question it, don't wonder how it will come to pass. Simply feel yourself to be what you want to be, to have what you want to have, to live the life you want to live. Fall asleep in that assumption and let the creative forces of your own infinite nature work throughout the night to make it so. Many people try this for a few nights and then forget about it or get distracted by other techniques or methods. But I tell you that consistency is the key. Make this assumption every single night. Let it become as natural and automatic as breathing. Let it become your new way of being rather than something you do occasionally when you remember. As you persist in this practice, you will begin to notice changes in your waking consciousness. You will find yourself naturally thinking, feeling, and acting from the consciousness of your fulfilled desire. You will discover that you no longer need to try to be positive or optimistic, because positivity and optimism flow naturally from the consciousness of having what you want. You will also notice that your relationship with your current circumstances begins to change. Instead of being discouraged by what you don't yet see, you will be patient and confident because you know that the inner work has already been done. Instead of being anxious about the future, you will be peaceful in the present because you are already living in the consciousness of your fulfilled desire. This inner transformation is actually more important than the outer manifestation, though the outer manifestation will surely follow. You see, the real goal is not just to get what you want, but to become what you want to be. The real prize is not just the external condition, but the internal consciousness that creates and sustains all external conditions. When you learn to assume any state at will, when you discover that you can occupy any consciousness you choose, when you realize that you can become anything you desire to be simply in the feeling or signing of being it, you have found the master key to life itself. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You are the creator of circumstances. You are no longer the effect of conditions. You are the cause of conditions. This is your true nature, my friends. You are not a victim of the world. You are the creator of your world. You are not subject to forces outside yourself. You are the force that determines your own experience. You are not a beggar hoping for scraps from the table of life. You are the host of the feast, able to create whatever menu you desire. But to claim this power, you must stop trying to get it and simply be it. You must stop approaching it from the outside and start expressing it from within. You must stop seeking it in the future and start living it in the present. You must stop believing you need to become worthy and start knowing that you already are worthy of it simply by virtue of being able to conceive of it. As we come toward the close of our time together tonight, I want to leave you with a clear understanding of what this means for your daily life. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, you have a choice. You can wake up in the consciousness of wanting what you don't have, or you can wake up in the consciousness of having what you want. You can spend your day trying to get what you desire, or you can spend your day what you desire. If you choose to be what you desire, if you choose to live in the assumption of your wish fulfilled, you will find that your entire day unfolds differently. The people you meet, the opportunities that present themselves, the ideas that come to you, the circumstances that arise, all of these will be different because you are different. You are no longer a person trying to get something. You are a person who has something. And having something creates very different experiences than wanting something. This transformation doesn't require years of study or complicated techniques or expensive courses or special initiations. It requires only your willingness to stop trying to get what you want and start being what you want to be. It requires only your decision to live in the assumption of your desire fulfilled rather than in the consciousness of your desire unfulfilled. The power to do this is yours right now. You don't need to develop it or earn it or deserve it. You already have it. You have always had it. It is your birthright as a conscious being. The only question is whether you will use it consciously and deliberately, or whether you will continue to use it unconsciously and by default. Every moment of every day you are assuming something about yourself and your world. You are occupying some state of consciousness. You are living in some feeling about your life. Right now, you can choose to make these assumptions consciously rather than unconsciously. You can choose to occupy the state you prefer rather than the state you have inherited. You can choose to live in the feeling of fulfillment rather than the feeling of lack. This choice is always available to you. No matter what has happened in your past, no matter what your current circumstances may be, no matter what others may think or say about you, you always have the power to assume a new state, to occupy a new consciousness, to live in a new feeling about yourself and your possibilities. The person who truly understands this teaching never again feels powerless. They may face challenges, they may encounter obstacles, they may go through difficult periods, but underneath it all they know that they have the power to create their experience through the consciousness they choose to maintain. They know that every situation is temporary and malleable, subject to change through the simple but powerful practice of assumption. This is the message I leave with you tonight. You already are what you want to be. You already have what you want to have. You already live the life you want to live. These things exist in consciousness, waiting for you to recognize them, to accept them, to assume them as true. Stop trying to get what you already have. Stop working to become what you already are. Stop struggling to achieve what is already achieved in the one place where all achievement occurs, in your own infinite consciousness. Take this truth home with you. Sleep in it tonight. Wake up in it tomorrow. Live in it every day. and watch as your world transforms to match the new consciousness you have chosen to embody. This is not just philosophy, my friends. This is not just positive thinking. This is the very mechanics of creation itself, the secret of secrets, the way the universe actually works. You came here tonight seeking an answer, and I have given you the answer. Not just an answer to your particular problem or desire, but the answer to all problems, the solution to all challenges, the key to all doors. Stop trying to get it, and you'll have it. Assume the feeling of having it. Persist in that assumption and watch as it becomes your living reality. The power is yours. The method is simple. The results are guaranteed. All that remains is for you to begin. Consider for a moment the nature of time. We often perceive it as linear past, present, future. But I tell you now, this is the greatest illusion. Time exists only in the eternal now. And it is in the now that you have the power to shape your reality. Your past, with all its joys and sorrows, triumphs and failures, exists only in your imagination. It has no power over you except that which you give it. The memories you replay, the emotions you relive, these are not fixed realities, but states of consciousness you choose to occupy. To truly move on and let go of your past, you must first understand that you are not a victim of your history, but the creator of your now. Every moment is a fresh opportunity to choose anew, to reimagine yourself and your world. The key to leaving your past in the past lies in your wonderful human imagination. It is not about forgetting or denying what has been, but about reinterpreting it in a way that serves your highest good. Imagine, if you will, your past as a grand play. You have been both the playwright and the lead actor. But now you realize you can rewrite the script. You can assign new meanings to old events, extract wisdom from challenges, and release yourself from the grip of outdated narratives. This process of revision is not about changing the facts of what occurred, but about changing your perception of those events. As you do this, you'll find that your present reality begins to shift. For your outer world is but a reflection of your inner states of consciousness. To move on is not to run from your past, but to stand firmly in your power as the operant power in your life. It is to declare, I am not bound by what was. I am free to create what will be. Let go of the need to justify your past actions or to seek closure from others. True closure comes from within. It comes from the realization that you are complete and whole in this moment, regardless of what came before. As you embark on this journey of letting go, you may encounter resistance. Old thought patterns and emotional habits may try to pull you back. But remember, these two are just states of consciousness. You have the power to step out of them at any moment. Treat these old states as you would an old garment that no longer fits. Observe them with detachment, thank them for the role they played, and then gently set them aside. You are not rejecting your past. You are simply choosing not to carry it with you in your life. The practice of letting go is not a one-time event, but a continuous choice. Each day, each moment, you have the opportunity to release what no longer serves you and to embrace the infinite possibilities of the now. As you do this, you'll find that your energy shifts, the weight of the past lifts, and you become more fully present in the now. This presence is the key to creating the life you desire. For in this now moment, you have access to all the power of creation. You are one with the divine creative force that shapes universes. As you align with this power, you'll find that moving forward becomes effortless. But remember, movement is not always physical. True movement happens in consciousness. You can be in the same physical space, surrounded by the same people, and yet be in an entirely new state of being. This is the essence of leaving your past in the past. It's not about changing your external circumstances, but about changing your inner world. As you do this, you'll find that your outer world naturally begins to reflect your new state of consciousness. Imagine for a moment that your desired state, one of freedom, joy, and limitless potential, is a frequency. To tune into this frequency, you must first release your attachment to lower frequencies of past regrets, resentments, and limitations. This release is not about suppression or denial. It's about transcendence. It's about rising above the old stories and limiting beliefs to embrace a higher truth about yourself and your life. As you practice this, you may find that memories of past events lose their emotional charge. They become neutral data, experiences that have contributed to your growth but no longer define you or limit your potential. This is the true meaning of forgiveness, not a pardoning of perceived wrongs, but a complete release of the past. It's a recognition that in the eternal now, there is nothing to forgive. There is only the choice of which state of consciousness to occupy. Now, some of you may be thinking, but what about the lessons of the past? Aren't they valuable? Indeed, they are. But I tell you this, the lesson is never in the event itself, but in the meaning you assign to it. As you shift your consciousness, you'll find that you can extract the wisdom from past experiences without remaining attached to the events themselves. This is the alchemy of consciousness, turning the lead of past difficulties into the gold of present wisdom. Remember, your aim is not to erase your past, but to transform your relationship with it, to see it not as a determinant of your future, but as the rich soil from which your new life can grow. As you practice leaving your past in the past, you may notice that your perception of time itself begins to shift. The past, present, future collapse into the eternal now, and in this now all things are possible. In this state of heightened awareness, you'll find that you no longer need to push against your past or struggle to move forward. Movement happens naturally as you align yourself with the state of consciousness that corresponds to your desires. Imagine that your life is a grand tapestry. Up until now, you've been focused on a few threads, the events and circumstances of your past. But as you step back, you begin to see the larger pattern. You realize that every thread, every experience has contributed to the beautiful whole. From this perspective, there is nothing to regret, nothing to fear, nothing to overcome. There is only the recognition of the perfection of the entire tapestry and the excitement of weaving new patterns into it. This shift in perspective is the key to true freedom. It's the realization that you are not bound by your past, but liberated by your ability to choose your focus in each moment. As you embrace this truth, you'll find that the energy once spent on reliving past events or worrying about future outcomes is now available for creating your desired reality in the present moment. This creative energy is the essence of life itself. It's the force that brings worlds into being, and it flows through you in every moment. As you release your attachment to the past, you open yourself fully to this creative flow. Imagine this energy as a river. In the past, it may have been dammed up by old beliefs, regrets, and resentments. But as you let go, the dam breaks and the full force of your creative power is released. This release may feel overwhelming at first. You may feel vulnerable, exposed. But I tell you this vulnerability is your greatest strength. It's the open door through which your new life enters. As you stand in this place of openness, of infinite potential, you may find yourself asking, who am I without my past? Without my old stories and identities? This, my dear friends, is the most exciting question of all. For in this moment of questioning, you stand at the threshold of infinite possibilities. You are free to choose anew, to define yourself not by what was, but by what you choose to be now. This is the essence of leaving your past in the past. It's not about reaching a destination, but about embracing a new way of being. It's about living from the state of the wish fulfilled rather than from the memory of what has been. As you practice this, you may find that your entire perception of reality begins to shift. What once seemed solid and unchangeable now appears fluid and responsive to your consciousness. You begin to see that every person, every circumstance in your life is a reflection of your state of being. As you change your state, your world changes with you. This realization brings with it a profound sense of responsibility. For if your world is a reflection of your consciousness, then the key to changing your world lies in changing yourself. But this responsibility is not a burden. It's the key to your freedom. For if you have the power to create your reality through your consciousness, then you are truly free to create any reality you desire. As you embrace this freedom, you may find that your desire to change or fix the past naturally falls away. For in the light of your new understanding, you see that there is nothing to fix, nothing to change. There is only the eternal now and the choice of which state to occupy. This doesn't mean that you forget your past or deny its influence. Rather, you choose to see it through new eyes. You see it as the perfect unfolding that has led you to this moment of awakening. From this perspective, every experience, every challenge, every perceived failure was a stepping stone, leading you to this realization of your true power. As you embrace this truth, you'll find that gratitude naturally arises. Gratitude not just for the good times, but for every experience that has shaped you. For you now see that it has all been in service of your awakening. This gratitude is a powerful force. It aligns you with the frequency of abundance and opens you to receive more of life's blessings. As you cultivate this attitude of gratitude, you'll find that your attachment to past grievances naturally dissolves. Remember, the goal is not to achieve a perfect state where you never think of the past. The goal is to reach a state where thoughts of the past no longer have the power to pull you out of your chosen state of consciousness. As you practice this, you may find that memories of the past begin to lose their emotional charge. They become like scenes from a movie. You can observe them without being drawn into them. This detachment is not cold or unfeeling. Rather, it's a higher form of engagement with life. It's the ability to be fully present with whatever arises without being consumed by it. As you master this art of conscious detachment, you'll find that you're able to engage more fully with life. For when you're no longer weighed down by the past, you're free to give your full attention and energy to the present moment. This presence is the key to creating the life you desire. For it's only in the present moment that you have the power to choose to create, to become. As you deepen into this practice, you may find that your sense of identity begins to shift. You no longer define yourself by your past experiences or accomplishments. Instead, you recognize yourself as the awareness in which all experiences arise. This shift in identity is profound. It's the realization that you are not your thoughts, your emotions, or your experiences. You are the consciousness that observes and experiences all of these. From this place of expanded awareness, you're able to choose consciously which thoughts to entertain, which emotions to cultivate, which states of being to occupy. This is the true meaning of free will. It's not the ability to control external circumstances, but the power to choose your internal state, regardless of circumstances. As you exercise this power, you'll find that your external world begins to shift to match your internal state. This is the law of assumption in action. What you assume to be true in your inner world becomes manifested in your outer world. But remember, this manifestation is not always instant or linear. Just as a seed takes time to grow into a tree, your new assumptions take time to fully manifest in your reality. During this period of gestation, it's crucial to maintain your faith. Faith not in an external power, but in the truth of your own divine nature. Faith in the principle that your consciousness creates your reality. This faith is not blind belief. It's a knowing that comes from your own experience of the law in action. As you practice living from your desired state, you'll accumulate evidence of its effectiveness. Each small manifestation becomes a stepping stone to greater ones. Each synchronicity, each coincidence that aligns with your desires strengthens your faith and amplifies your creative power. As your faith grows, you'll find that letting go of the past becomes effortless. For why would you cling to old limiting stories when you're actively creating a new empowering reality? This is the beauty of living in the state of the wish fulfilled. When you're fully immersed in the consciousness of your desire achieved, there's no room for doubt, regret, or attachment to past limitations. In this state, you naturally release anything that doesn't align with your new self-concept. Old habits, relationships, and circumstances that no longer serve you will fall away effortlessly. This release is not about rejecting or fighting against what was. It's about aligning so completely with your new state that anything not in harmony with it naturally drops away. As you practice this, you may find that your entire approach to life shifts. Instead of trying to make things happen, you allow them to unfold naturally from your state of being. This is the difference between forcing and allowing, between struggle and ease. When you're aligned with your desired state, life flows effortlessly. Opportunities appear, doors open, and synchronicities abound. But remember, this ease doesn't mean inaction. It means inspired action, action that flows naturally from your state of being rather than from a place of lack or struggle. As you align more fully with your desired state, you may find that your goals themselves begin to shift. What once seemed important may fall away, replaced by deeper, more meaningful aspirations. This too is part of the process of leaving your past in the past. As you release old identity and the limitations, you open yourself to new possibilities, new ways of being, one contributing to the world. You may discover passions and talents you never knew you had. You may feel called to pursue paths you never considered before. This is the natural result of aligning with your true self, free from the constraints of past conditioning. As you embrace these new aspects of yourself, you may feel a sense of rebirth, of starting anew, and in a very real sense you are. For each moment is an opportunity for rebirth, for choosing again who you want to be. This constant renewal is the essence of living in the eternal now. Is to recognize that your past does not determine your future unless you choose to carry it with you. So I invite you now to make a bold declaration. Declare to yourself and to the universe, I am free. I am not bound by my past. I choose in this moment who I am and who I will become. Feel the power of this declaration. Let it resonate in every cell of your being. For in this declaration, you are claiming your divine birthright as a creator of your reality. As you embark on this journey of leaving your past in the past, remember that you are not alone. The entire universe conspires to support you in your growth and evolution. Every challenge you face, every obstacle you encounter, is an opportunity to practice this new way of being, to choose again your state of consciousness, to reaffirm your commitment to living from the state of the wish fulfilled. And as you persist in this practice, you'll find that what once seemed difficult becomes effortless. What once triggered you no longer has any power over you. You become the master of your own consciousness, and therefore the master of your own destiny. This mastery is your true inheritance. It's the power that has been within you all along, waiting to be recognized and claimed. So claim it now. Step fully into your power as the creator of your reality. Let go of the past, not through force or struggle, but through the gentle yet powerful shift of your attention to the reality you choose to create. Remember, the past has no power over you except that which you give it. In each moment, you have the power to choose anew, to focus your attention on what you want to create rather than what has been. As you practice this, you may find that your entire perception of time shifts. Past, present, and future collapse into eternal now. And in this now, all things are possible. From this expanded perspective, you see that your past was never a limitation, but a preparation. Every experience, every challenge, every perceived failure was leading you to this moment of awakening. And now that you've awakened to your true power, what will you create? What reality will you choose to occupy? The choice is yours, and the power to manifest it lies within you. So go forth with confidence, with faith, with the unshakable knowing that you are the author of your own story. Write a new chapter unburdened by the past, filled with the infinite possibilities of the eternal now. For in this now you are free. In this now you are powerful. In this now you are the creator of your own magnificent reality. Embrace this truth. Live from it. And watch as your world transforms to match the grandeur of your own divine imagination. Consider for a moment the nature of your nightly dreams. In those vivid nocturnal experiences, do you not find yourself fully immersed in a world that feels real? Do you not interact with people, places, and objects that seem tangible and true? And yet, upon waking, you realize that it was all a creation of your own mind. The simulation I speak of is much like this dream state, only far more intricate and persistent. This simulation, this grand illusion, is sustained by your beliefs, your assumptions, and the habitual patterns of your thoughts and emotions. It is a reflection of your inner state, projected outward into what appears to be an external, objective reality. But I assure you, there is no objective reality separate from your consciousness. You are the dreamer dreaming the dream of your life. Now, you might be asking yourself, if this is true, why can't I simply wish for things to change? Why does the world seem so solid and unyielding to my desires? The answer lies in the power of your subconscious mind and the deep-seated beliefs that govern it. These beliefs act as the laws of physics within your personal simulation. They determine what you perceive as possible or impossible, probable or improbable. To exit this simulation, to break free from the limitations that bind you, you must first understand the nature of your own consciousness. You are not a powerless entity trapped in a physical body, subject to the whims of an indifferent universe. No, you are the operant power, the God force itself, expressing itself through the vehicle of your human form. The key to your liberation lies in the realization that your imagination is not a mere fantasy-making faculty, but the very substance of reality itself. What you imagine with feeling, with unwavering faith, must by necessity become your experience. This is the law that governs all creation, both within and without the simulation. To begin your journey of awakening, you must first become aware of your thoughts and the assumptions that underlie them. Pay close attention to your inner dialogue, to the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what is possible for you. These narratives are the building blocks of your simulated reality. As you become more aware of these thought patterns, you will start to see how they have shaped your experiences. The limitations you've accepted, the failures you've endured, the successes you've achieved, all of these are but reflections of your inner beliefs made manifest in the world of Caesar. But here's the liberating truth. You have the power to change these beliefs. You are not bound by your past experiences or the seeming facts of your current situation. At any moment, you can choose to imagine a new state of being, a new self-concept, and by doing so, initiate a radical transformation of your simulated reality. The practice of revision is a powerful tool in this process of liberation. Each night as you lay your head upon your pillow, take a few moments to replay the events of your day. But instead of accepting them as fixed and unchangeable, use your God-given power of imagination to revise them. See them playing out exactly as you would have wished them to be. Did you have a confrontation with a colleague? Revise it. Imagine the interaction going smoothly with mutual understanding and respect. Did you miss an opportunity? In your imagination, seize it with confidence and grace. By engaging in this practice regularly, you begin to loosen the grip of the simulation's apparent solidity. You remind yourself that reality is fluid, responsive to your consciousness. Another powerful technique for exiting the simulation is the use of affirmations, but not in the superficial way they are often employed. When I speak of affirmations, I mean the deep, emotional acceptance of a new state of being. Instead of repeating empty words, you must feel the truth of your desired state, as if it were already a fact. For instance, if you wish to exit the simulation of lack and enter into a reality of abundance, you might affirm, I am wealthy beyond measure. But the power lies not in the words themselves, but in the feeling they evoke. As you state this affirmation, you must feel the security, the freedom, the joy that comes with true wealth. You must walk, talk, and behave as the wealthy person you claim to be. This is not mere positive thinking or wishful daydreaming. This is the active, conscious direction of your creative power. By assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are literally reprogramming the parameters of your personal simulation. Now let us delve deeper into the nature of this simulation and how it relates to time. In your current state of consciousness, you experience time as a linear progression, past, present, future. But I tell you, this too is part of the illusion. All moments, what you call past, present, and future, exist simultaneously in the eternal now. Your power to exit the simulation lies in your ability to select at will the version of reality you wish to experience from this infinite field of possibilities. When you change your concept of self, when you assume a new state of consciousness, you are not creating something new. Rather, you are tuning into an already existing version of reality where your desire is fulfilled. Think of it like a radio. Just as all radio frequencies exist simultaneously in the air around you, all possible versions of reality exist in the field of consciousness. Your task is to tune your consciousness to the frequency, the state that corresponds to your desired experience. This understanding liberates you from the tyranny of time and circumstance. No longer are you bound by what has been or what seems to be. You are free to select any reality you choose simply by aligning your consciousness with it through the power of feeling and imagination. But remember, the exit from the simulation is not a destination, it is a continuous process of awakening and self-realization. As you begin to exercise your creative power, as you start to see the direct correlation between your inner states and your outer experiences, you will inevitably encounter resistance. This resistance often manifests as doubt, fear, or the seeming inertia of your current circumstances. The simulation, having been maintained by your habitual thoughts and beliefs for so long, may seem to push back against your efforts to change it. This is perfectly natural and to be expected. The key is to persist in your new assumption, regardless of the evidence of your senses. Remember, the physical world you perceive is not the cause, it is the effect. It is the shadow cast by your consciousness. As you hold steady to your new concept of self, as you remain faithful to your imaginal act, the outer world must, by the very laws that govern the simulation, conform to your inner vision. This persistence in the face of contrary evidence is what I call the art of assuming. It is the confident, unwavering knowing that what you have imagined and felt as real in your consciousness must by necessity materialize in your experience. It is the understanding that the time lag between your imaginal act and its physical manifestation is itself part of the simulation's illusion. As you practice this art of assuming, you will begin to experience what I call signs following. These are synchronicities, seeming coincidences, and bridge of incidents that confirm your imaginal act is taking root in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. Welcome these signs, but do not become overly attached to them. They are not the fulfillment of your desire, but rather indicators that you are successfully reprogramming your simulation. Another powerful tool in exiting the simulation is the use of what I call the state akin to sleep. This is a state of consciousness between waking and sleeping, where the rational, analytical mind is quieted and the subconscious becomes more receptive to suggestion. In this twilight state, impress upon your subconscious mind the reality you wish to experience. See yourself as you would be in the fulfillment of your desire. Feel the emotions you would feel. Engage all your senses in this imaginal act. The more vivid and real you can make this experience in your imagination, the more powerfully it will take root in your subconscious and thus in your simulated reality. Now let us address a common misconception about exiting the simulation. Many believe that to break free from the illusion, they must somehow escape the physical world or transcend their human experience. This is not the case. The exit I speak of is not a physical departure, but a shift in consciousness. To exit the simulation is to awaken to your true nature as the creator of your reality. It is to move from a state of unconscious reaction to one of conscious creation. You do not leave the world, you transform it by transforming your conception of it and yourself. As you embark on this journey of awakening, you may find that certain aspects of your life begin to change dramatically. Relationships may shift. Opportunities may arise seemingly out of nowhere. And circumstances that once seemed immovable may suddenly become fluid. This is the natural result of your expanding consciousness. However, it's important to remember that the goal is not to manipulate specific events or control others. The true power lies in controlling your own state of consciousness. As you elevate your self-concept, as you align yourself with higher states of being, your entire world will naturally reconfigure itself to match your new vibration. This process of exiting the simulation also involves a fundamental shift in your understanding of identity. In the simulated reality, you may have identified yourself primarily with your physical body, your personal history, your social roles, or your possessions. But as you awaken, you begin to recognize that your true identity is far more expansive. You are, in essence, pure consciousness, the awareness that underlies all experiences. This consciousness is not limited to your individual persona. It is the very substance of the universe itself. As you align with this truth, you begin to experience a profound sense of unity with all of life. This realization doesn't negate your individual expression, but rather enhances it. You begin to see your human experience as a unique and precious vehicle through which the infinite expresses itself in form. This understanding naturally leads to a greater sense of love, compassion, and reverence for all of creation. As you continue to practice these principles, as you persistently assume the states of consciousness that align with your desires, you will find that the simulation becomes increasingly responsive to your thoughts and feelings. What once seemed like immutable laws of reality begin to bend and flex according to your assumptions. But with this growing power comes a deepening sense of responsibility. As you recognize your role as the creator of your experience, you also realize the importance of disciplining your mind and cultivating thoughts and emotions that serve your highest good and the good of all. This is not about imposing rigid control over your thoughts, but rather about cultivating a loving awareness of your inner world. It's about choosing moment by moment to align with states of consciousness that uplift and inspire you. One powerful practice in this regard is the cultivation of gratitude. Gratitude is not merely a positive emotion. It is a high vibrational state that aligns you with the abundance and beauty inherent in the universe. By focusing on what you appreciate in your life, by feeling genuinely thankful for what you have and what is coming, you magnetize more experiences that evoke this feeling. Remember, in the simulation of your reality, what you focus on expands. By consistently directing your attention towards what you love, what brings you joy, and what you wish to experience more of, you naturally begin to shift the parameters of your simulation towards these positive states. Another crucial aspect of exiting the simulation is the release of victimhood. In the illusory world, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that you are at the mercy of external forces, be they other people, circumstances, or some notion of fate or luck. But as you awaken to your true nature as the operant power in your life, you must relinquish this disempowering perspective. This doesn't mean denying the challenges or difficulties you may face. Rather, it means approaching them from a place of empowerment, knowing that within you lies the power to transform any situation through the alchemy of your consciousness. When confronted with seeming obstacles or setbacks, instead of reacting with frustration or despair, pause and ask yourself, how would I respond to this situation if I truly believed in my power to shape reality? What assumption, what state of consciousness would transform this challenge into an opportunity? By consistently approaching life from this empowered perspective, you gradually reprogram your subconscious mind. The simulation of victimhood dissolves, replaced by a new reality in which you are the conscious author of your life story. As you progress on this path of awakening, you may find that your desires themselves begin to evolve. What once seemed critically important may lose its allure, while new, more expansive visions take root in your imagination. This is a natural part of the process. As your consciousness expands, as you align more closely with your true nature, your desires are naturally refined and elevate. You may find yourself less concerned with acquiring things or achieving specific outcomes, and more interested in states of being, peace, joy, love, creative expression. This shift is a sign of your growing spiritual maturity, your movement towards a more authentic and fulfilling life. However, this doesn't mean that material desires or worldly achievements become unimportant. Remember, the physical world is not separate from spirit. It is spirit made visible. Your ability to manifest your desires in the tangible world is a reflection of your alignment with your creative power. The key is to desire from a place of fullness rather than lack, to create as an expression of your abundant nature rather than from a sense of need or insufficiency. As you continue to apply these principles, as you persistently work to exit the simulation of limitation and lack, you will inevitably experience moments of doubt. There will be times when the old patterns reassert themselves, when the simulation seems particularly convincing in its solidity and resistance to change. In these moments, it's crucial to remember that doubt itself is part of the simulation. It is a thought pattern, a state of consciousness that you can choose to step out of. When doubt arises, recognize it for what it is, a habitual response of the old self-concept, and gently but firmly redirect your attention to the truth of your being. Remind yourself, I am the operant power in my life. My consciousness creates my reality. This doubt is not the truth. It is merely a passing state that I can choose to release. Then consciously realign yourself with the feeling of your wish fulfilled, with the state of consciousness that corresponds to your desire. This practice of self-awareness and conscious choice is at the heart of exiting the simulation. It is the continuous moment-by-moment work of awakening. Each time you catch yourself falling into old patterns and choose instead to align with your higher self, you weaken the grip of the simulation and strengthen your connection to your true creative power. As you progress on this journey, you may find that your perception of the world around you begins to shift in profound ways. The solid, fixed reality you once perceived gives way to a more fluid, responsive universe. You start to see the interconnectedness of all things, the underlying unity beneath the apparent diversity of forms. This shift in perception is not mere philosophical understanding. It is a lived experience. You begin to feel in every fiber of your being that you are not separate from the world around you, but an integral part of it. The boundaries between self and other, between inner and outer, begin to blur. In this state of expanded awareness, manifestation becomes less about making things happen through force of will and more about aligning with the natural flow of creation. You begin to sense the perfect timing of the universe, the intricate web of connections that brings your desires to fruition in ways often wonderful than you could have imagined. This doesn't mean you become passive or fatalistic. Rather, you learn to combine focused intention with a deep trust in the wisdom of the universe. You set your intentions clearly, you imagine and feel them as real, and then you release them, allowing the infinite intelligence of life to bring them about in the most harmonious way. As you deepen in this practice, you may find that your very concept of desire and fulfillment evolves. The exit from the simulation is not about getting everything you think you want. It's about aligning with your true nature, with the deepest longings of your soul. You may discover that what you truly desire is not the acquisition of things or the achievement of specific outcomes, but rather the full, free expression of your unique essence. You may find that your greatest joy comes not from having or doing, but from allowing the infinite to express itself through you in its own unique way. This shift in perspective brings with it a profound sense of peace and fulfillment. You no longer feel driven by lack or fear, constantly striving to become something other than what you are. Instead, you rest in the knowledge of your inherent completeness, allowing your life to unfold as a joyous expression of your true nature. But make no mistake, this state of being is not one of passive contentment. It is incredibly dynamic and creative. From this place of alignment with your true self, you naturally become a powerful force for positive change in the world. Your very presence becomes a catalyst for awakening in others. As you walk through the world in this awakened state, you will find that people are naturally drawn to you. They may not understand why, but they sense the authenticity and power of your being. Your relationships become more genuine and fulfilling as you no longer approach others from a place of need or expectation, but from a place of fullness and love. In this awakened state, you become a master of your own reality. The simulation that once seemed to control you becomes a playground for your creative expression. You understand that every experience, every interaction, every moment is an opportunity to choose anew, to align with higher states of consciousness, and to bring more light and love into the world. As you continue to practice these principles, you'll find that the exit from the simulation is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process of expansion and deepening. Each day brings new opportunities to release limiting beliefs, to imagine greater possibilities, and to embody more fully the truth of your divine nature. Embrace these opportunities with joy and curiosity, knowing that each step forward on this path brings you closer to the full realization of your potential. Remember, dear friends, that you are not alone on this journey. As you awaken, as you step out of the simulation of separation and limitation, you become increasingly aware of the interconnected web of consciousness that unites all beings. You begin to sense the support and guidance available to you from both seen and unseen realms. Trust in this support. Open yourself to receive it, and allow it to uplift and inspire you as you continue to expand and evolve. In conclusion, know that the power to exit the simulation has always been within you. It is your birthright as a divine created being. By consistently aligning your thoughts, feelings, and actions with the truth of your being, by persistently imagining and embodying the reality you wish to experience, you dissolve the illusion of limitation and step into the boundless freedom that is your true nature. Go forth with confidence, with love, and with the unshakable knowing that you are the author of your reality, the creator of your world. The simulation has no power over you except that which you grant it. Choose wisely, choose lovingly, and watch in awe your world transforms before your very eyes. Imagine, if you will, a world where the very fabric of reality bends to your will, where the thoughts you think and the beliefs you hold shape the experiences you encounter. This is not a flight of fancy, my dear friends, but the fundamental nature of our existence. You see, the universe in which we live is not a cold, indifferent machine, but a responsive, malleable substance that takes on the form of our dominant impressions. Let us begin by understanding a crucial principle. Your mind, your wonderful human imagination, is the God of which all sacred texts speak. It is the creative power through which all things are made manifest. When you truly grasp this concept, you will realize that the power to create wealth, abundance, and prosperity lies not in some external force, but within the confines of your own consciousness. Now you might be wondering, how can this be? How can my thoughts possibly manifest money within such a short span of time? The answer, my friends, lies in understanding that time is but an illusion of the physical world. In the realm of spirit, in the domain of imagination, there is no past, no future, only the eternal now. And it is in this eternal now that all possibilities exist simultaneously. To activate your mind and manifest money within 24 hours, you must first shift your consciousness. You must move from a state of lack and wanting to a state of abundance and having. This shift is not something that happens in the outer world. It is an inner movement, a change in your mental atmosphere. When you can feel the naturalness of being wealthy, when you can sleep in the assumption of your desire fulfilled, the outer world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match your inner conviction. Let me share with you a technique that, when applied with unwavering faith and persistence, can bring about miraculous results. As you retire to bed tonight, I want you to close your eyes and construct a scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire for wealth. Perhaps you see yourself holding a bank statement with a balance that thrills you. Or maybe you feel the weight of your wallet, heavy with crisp new bills. Whatever scene you choose, make it as vivid and as real as you possibly can. Now here's the crucial part. You must enter into this scene. You must participate in it fully, using all your senses. Feel the paper of the bank statement between your fingers. Smell the crisp scent of new currency. Hear the rustle of bills as you thumb through them. Make this imaginal act so real that it takes on the tones of reality. You must persist in this state until you feel a sense of satisfaction, a feeling that tells you, yes, this is done. As you drift off to sleep, carry this feeling with you. Let it be the last thing on your mind as you enter the world of slumber. For it is in sleep that the subconscious mind is most receptive, most malleable to the impressions we give it. And it is the subconscious that possesses the power to bring our imaginal acts into physical manifestation. But remember, my dear friends, the outer world is a reflection of your inner state. Therefore, when you awaken in the morning, you must maintain this feeling of wealth, this consciousness of abundance. Do not let the appearances of the physical world shake your conviction. For what you see now is but the shadow of past thoughts and beliefs. The new state you have entered will take a little time to project itself onto the screen of space. Throughout your day, whenever you have a quiet moment, revisit that scene. Feel once again the joy, the excitement, the naturalness of being in possession of the wealth you desire. Let this feeling permeate every fiber of your being. For you are not trying to get something, you are acknowledging that you already have it in the realm of imagination, and therefore it must come into physical expression. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, I've tried positive thinking before, and it didn't work. To this I say there is a world of difference between mere positive thinking and the art of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Positive thinking often still carries with it the consciousness of lack, the awareness that you are trying to change something. But in the law I'm teaching you, there is no trying. There is only the acknowledgement of what is already yours in imagination. Consider the biblical phrase, before they call, I will answer. This is not some mystical promise, but a statement of how reality operates. The moment you can feel the reality of your desire, the moment you can live from the end as though it were already accomplished, in that instant your prayer is answered. The things and events of the outer world are merely catching up to the truth you have accepted in your imagination. Let me tell you a story to illustrate this principle. I once knew a man who was in dire financial straits. His business was failing. His debts were mounting. And he could see no way out of his predicament. He came to me desperate for a solution. I shared with him this very law we're discussing today. At first he was skeptical, but he was also at his wit's end and willing to try anything. I instructed him to go home and, before sleeping, to construct a scene that would imply his financial problems were solved. He chose to imagine himself sitting in his office, looking at a pile of paid invoices and a bank statement showing a healthy balance. I told him to make this scene as real as possible and to fall asleep in this state. The next morning, he awoke feeling different. There was a lightness to his step, a confidence he hadn't felt in months. Nothing in his outer world had changed yet, but he felt that everything was going to be all right. Throughout the day, he held on to this feeling, revisiting his imaginal scene whenever doubt tried to creep in. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Within 24 hours, he received a call from a client he hadn't heard from in years. This client had a large project and wanted to work exclusively with him. The advance payment for this project was enough to cover all his outstanding debts and breathe new life into his business. So is this a coincidence? Absolutely not. It was the law in operation. The moment he changed his inner state, the outer world had to realign itself to match his new consciousness. This, my friends, is the power you hold within you. This is the creative force of your imagination at work. But let me be clear, this is not about manipulating external circumstances. It's not about forcing the world to bend to your will. Rather, it's about aligning yourself with the fundamental nature of reality. It's about recognizing that the world of form is born from the formless realm of imagination. Now, some of you might be wondering about the morality of using your imagination to manifest money. You might be asking, is it right to simply imagine wealth into existence? To this I say, the use of your imagination is the most fundamental right you possess. It is, in fact, your duty to use this God-given gift to create a life of abundance and joy, not just for yourself, but for all those around you. You see, when you liberate yourself from financial worry, when you step into a state of abundance, you become a blessing to the world. You are able to give more, to help more, to make a greater positive impact on the lives of others. The wealth you manifest is not taken from anyone else. It is created anew from the infinite abundance of the universe. Consider this: every invention, every work of art, every business, every advancement in human society began as an idea, as an imaginal act. The phone in your pocket, the chair you're sitting on, the very building we're in, all of these were once just thoughts in someone's mind. By bringing these thoughts into physical reality, these individuals not only enriched themselves, but added value to the world. So I urge you, do not feel guilty about using your imagination to create wealth. Instead, recognize it as your sacred duty. For in doing so, you are aligning yourself with the creative principle of the universe. You are fulfilling your role as a co-creator with the divine. Now, let's delve deep in the mechanics of this process. When you imagine yourself in a state of wealth, when you feel the naturalness of abundance, you are literally reshaping your concept of self. And your concept of self is the foundation upon which your entire life experience is built. Most people live their lives based on a concept of self that was given to them by others, their parents, their teachers, their society. They accept limitations that were never truly theirs. But you, my dear friends, you have the power to consciously choose your concept of self. You have the ability to decide right here and now that you are a person of wealth and abundance. This decision, this shift in your concept of self, is not something that happens on a purely intellectual level. It must be felt. It must be experienced with the full force of your imagination. When you can feel the reality of being wealthy with the same intensity that you feel the floor beneath your feet, that's when true transformation occurs. Let's practice this together right now. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath and relax. Now, I want you to imagine you are holding a check in your hands. This check is made out to you, and the amount on it is more money than you've ever had in your life. Look at the numbers. See them clearly. Feel the paper between your fingers. Notice the weight of it in your hands. Now, I want you to amplify this experience. Feel the excitement coursing through your body. Feel the relief, the joy, the sense of possibility that comes with this newfound wealth. Let this feeling grow stronger and stronger until it fills your entire being. This, my friends, this feeling is more important than any mental picture, for it is your feelings that shape your reality. Open your eyes. How do you feel? Different, don't you? That feeling, that state of consciousness, is what you must return to again and again. That is the fertile soil in which the seeds of your desires will grow and bear fruit. But here's a crucial point. You must persist in this new state. The old man, the old concept of self, will try to reassert itself. Doubts will arise. The evidence of your physical senses will try to convince you that nothing has changed. This is where your faith will be tested. Remember, faith is not blind belief. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. It is the conviction that what you have imagined and felt as real in your mind must by cosmic law be made manifest in your physical reality. When doubt arises, when the old patterns of thought try to pull you back, you must return again and again to that feeling of wealth, that consciousness of abundance. Think of it this way. Your imagination is like a gardener planting seeds. The feeling of wealth, the consciousness of abundance. These are the seeds you are planting in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. But just as a gardener doesn't dig up the seeds every day to see if they're growing, you must not constantly question whether your imaginal act is working. Instead, you must water these seeds with your attention, your faith, your persistent assumption that what you have imagined is already a reality. And just as surely as an acorn grows into an oak tree, your imaginal act will grow into a physical reality. Now let's address a common concern. Some of you might be thinking, but what about action? Don't I need to do something in the physical world to manifest money? This is a valid question, and the answer might surprise you. Yes, action is important, but it's not the kind of action you might be thinking of. You see, the most important action is the action of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This internal action, this movement of consciousness, is far more powerful than any external action you could take. When you successfully assume the feeling of being wealthy, when you live from that state of consciousness, you will be moved to take whatever outer actions are necessary to bring your desire into manifestation. These actions will not feel like effort or struggle. They will feel natural, inspired. You will find yourself in the right place at the right time. Opportunities will present themselves to you. People will be drawn to you, eager to do business with you. This is the law in operation. This is the power of your activated imagination. But remember, the outer actions are not the cause of your wealth. They are the result of your change in consciousness. They are the bridge of incidents that lead to the fulfillment of your desire. The real what? The true action takes place in your imagination. Now I want to address something that many of you might be experiencing. As you listen to these words, as you contemplate this law, you might be feeling a sense of excitement mixed with disbelief. A part of you might be saying, this sounds too good to be true. It can't be this simple. This reaction is natural. It's the old consciousness, the old concept of self fighting to maintain its existence. But I want you to consider something which is simpler. To believe that you must struggle and strive for years to accumulate wealth, always at the mercy of external circumstances, or to accept that the power to create the life you desire lies within you, waiting to be activated by your imagination. The truth is, this law is simple. But simple does not mean easy. It requires a fundamental shift in how you view reality. It demands that you take full responsibility for your life experience. It asks you to question everything you've been taught about the nature of reality and your place in it. This is why so few people truly succeed in consciously creating their reality. Not because it doesn't work, but because they're unwilling to persist through the initial period of uncertainty, the period where their new assumptions have not yet been made manifest in the physical world. But you, my dear friends, you who have chosen to be here today, you are different. You are the select few who are ready to take control of your destiny. You are the ones who will persist, who will hold fast to your new assumption of wealth and abundance, even when the outer world seems to contradict it. And make no mistake, the outer world will seem to contradict it, at least at first. This is the time of testing, the time when your faith in the unseen reality must be stronger than your faith in the evidence of your physical senses. But if you can persist through this period, if you can maintain your new state of consciousness regardless of outer appearances, you will see miracles unfold in your life. Now let's talk about the time frame mentioned in our topic, within 24 hours. Some of you might be wondering if it's really possible to manifest money that quickly. The answer is a resounding yes, but with a caveat. The manifestation of your desire in the physical world is not subject to time as we understand it in our three-dimensional existence. In the fourth dimensional realm of imagination, the realm where all creation begins, there is no time. There's only the eternal now. When you successfully impress your subconscious mind with the feeling of wealth, when you can live in the state of the wish fulfilled, the seed of your desire is planted instantaneously. The 24 hours mentioned in our topic is not a rigid time frame for physical manifestation. Rather, it refers to the period within which you can fundamentally alter your state of consciousness. When you go to sleep tonight in the assumption of your wish fulfilled, when you maintain that state upon waking and throughout your day, you will have activated your mind to manifest money. From that point on, the bridge of incidents that leads to the physical manifestation of your desire begins to form. For some, this manifestation might occur within 24 hours. For others, it might take a bit longer. But make no mistake, once you have truly assumed the state of wealth in your imagination, its physical manifestation is assured. The key is to focus not on the when, but on the what. Focus on maintaining the feeling of wealth, the consciousness of abundance. Let go of any anxiety about how or when your desire will manifest. Remember, the feeling is the secret. The feeling of wealth, experienced with all the vividness of your imagination, is the cause. The outer manifestation of money is the effect. Now, I want to share with you a powerful technique that can help you maintain this state of wealth consciousness throughout your day. It's a technique I call wearing your desire. Here's how it works. Imagine that your desired state of wealth is like a garment, a beautiful tailored suit or dress. In your imagination, put on this garment. Feel the texture of the fabric against your skin. Feel how it fits you perfectly. Feel the confidence, the assurance that comes wearing this garment of wealth. Now, As you go about your day, whenever you start to doubt, whenever the old state tries to reassert itself, remind yourself, I am wearing my desire. I am clothed in wealth. Feel it, experience it as vividly as you can. This simple technique can work wonders in helping you maintain your new state of consciousness. Remember, my dear friends, you are not trying to create something new. You are simply aligning yourself with the wealth that already exists in the infinite realm of possibility. You are choosing to embody a particular state of being, a state of wealth and abundance that already exists in the spiritual realm. Your job is not to make it happen. Your job is to select the state you wish to embody and then to occupy that state so completely in your imagination that it becomes your new reality. The outer world has no choice but to conform to your inner assumption. Now, some of you might be wondering about the role of gratitude in this process. Gratitude is indeed a powerful force, but not in the way many people think. You see, most people believe they should be grateful for what they have in order to receive more. But this approach still carries with it the consciousness of lack, the awareness that you don't yet have what you desire. True gratitude, the kind that aligns with the law we're discussing, is gratitude for what you have imagined as real. It's the feeling of thankfulness that arises naturally when you have successfully assumed the state of your wish fulfilled. When you can genuinely feel grateful for your imagined wealth, as though it were already a physical fact, you align yourself powerfully with the state of having that wealth. This alignment, this feeling of gratitude for your imagined reality, serves to amplify your assumption and accelerate its manifestation. It's a recognition of the truth that what you have conceived in imagination is as real as any physical fact. This kind of gratitude doesn't come from a place of lack or wanting, but from a place of abundance and fulfillment. As we near the conclusion of our discussion, I want to emphasize a crucial point. The law we've been exploring is not a one-time event, but a way of life. It's not about manifesting money once and then returning to your old patterns of thought. It's about consistently living from the state of abundance, regardless of outer circumstances. Even after you've successfully manifested money, continue to occupy the state of wealth in your imagination. Make it your permanent dwelling place. For as you do this, you'll find that abundance becomes your natural state of being. Money and opportunities will flow to you effortlessly, not because you're focusing on manifesting them, but because you're consistently embodying the state of wealth. Remember, the outer world is constantly conforming to your inner assumptions. By maintaining a consistent state of wealth consciousness, you ensure consistent experience of abundance in your physical reality. This is the true secret to lasting prosperity. In closing, I want to remind you of the immense power you hold within you. Your human imagination, properly understood and applied, is the very force that shapes reality. It is the God power spoken of in Scripture, the creative principle of the universe individualized in you. You are not a helpless victim of circumstances, but the author of your life story. With your imagination, you have the power to rewrite that story at any moment. Choose now to write a story of abundance, of wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Choose to step into the state of wealth, to wear it like a garment, to feel its reality with every fiber of your being. Go forth from this place with the knowledge that you are now activating your mind to manifest money. Know that as you sleep tonight in the assumption of your wish fulfilled, as you awaken tomorrow morning in the state of wealth, you are setting in motion forces beyond your comprehension that will move heaven and earth to bring your desire into manifestation. And finally, my dear friends, remember this: the law we've discussed today is not just about manifesting money. It's about recognizing and claiming your birthright as a creative being. Use this law not just for personal gain, but to enrich the world around you. For as you step into your power, as you manifest abundance in your own life, you become a beacon of hope and inspiration for others. You become living proof of the limitless potential that resides within each of us. Go now and create the life of abundance you desire and deserve. The power is yours. Use it wisely, use it lovingly, and watch in awe as your world transforms before your very eyes.